phase of moon.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Blake Cousins, Third Phase Moon, and we are live right now, and there's some technical difficulties, but we're broadcasting. Thank you, everybody, for joining us from around the world. Wow. Now, we got a lot of callers in from around the country, I'd imagine, and they have UFO sightings that they want to share with us. So let's get to that. That's what Third Phase of Moon is all about, getting the callers in. So let's start them. Let's start taking them. Speak up.
Yes. Is this Blake?
This is Blake. Welcome to the show. We're live.
Hi, I would just like to tell you I like your show and your videos.
Hey, great. Any UFO sightings?
I would like to stay in. Yes. I would like to stay anonymous. I'm a previous government scientist. I used to work for top secret projects in the Nevada Test and Training Range.
Well, that's not a problem. We don't have to reveal your name, but we like details. And hey, as long as we're live and people are listening, it flows in real time. So we'd sure like to hear some of the stuff. Go ahead.
Yes. I just want to give a brief history of me without getting out too much. In the past, I worked along EG&G Technical Services. Well, not formally JT3, which is Joint Test and Tactics and Training. And most recently, I worked for Unicorn and Aerospace as an engineer. I do have top secret clearance and special access program, Q clearance for the U.S. Department of Defense. I just want to state something because I work for the Nellis range testing site. The so-called S4 location. I just want to state to the public that it is not a formal site for that anymore. They moved the facility to what we call Lamb Pond Dry Lake Bed. I worked there about 2 years for a project called SC-14, which is a top secret new drone, which is a kind of a reverse engineer of what you would call your flying saucers. This completely works on electromagnetic fields, not your typical element 115. I won't state the base that was nearby, but you probably have like an image where it would be. Now, I've been disqualified a couple months ago due to health reasons. I'm no longer working for that. But I did go out there for a period of time back and forth, and I do work at a facility in the western part of the country that works for avionics and aerospace engineering. I just wanted to tell the public that Papoose Lake is no longer S4. They demolished that project in the mid-1990s. And the new location is in Lamb Ponds Dry Lake. Thank you very much, Blake. Have a good day.
Whoa. Hold on, you can't go just now. Are you still there?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, wow. It's just, man, there's so many questions, and I'm sure you can't answer them all, but can you stick around for a few minutes?
Yes, I can.
All right, Matt. Well, that's, somebody that has top secret clearance. I'm sure there's some things you can't say, but I have one question for you. Some of these things that we've been mistaken as UFOs are coming from this base that you worked on.
That's correct. The flying discs that were kept at S4 are no longer there. They pretty much destroyed them within the mid-90s. We used the parts to re-engineer for our own uses. The drones that you see and the flying discs that you see now.
They destroyed the disc? They destroyed? Are these the ones that were?
Yes.
The alien disc. These were the ones recovered.
Yes.
They destroyed these. Why would they do
this?
They have. How did they destroy?
It is because Vice President, in which I will not name his name, did a total investigation of the area because of the claims that black projects, the budgets they had. We had to cover the place because it was what you would call inciting laundering money. The presidents didn't know it was a high clearance, so we had to get rid of everything so it would be seen in the reports that there was nothing there. However, everything that you would say that was back in the lores of the 90s, every part in 115, what was left of it, which is 250 pounds right now, is brought to Lamb's Pond dry lake bed, which we were using to use for our own engineering prospects. S4 is no longer, though, instated. Anything there was destroyed or moved to Tonopah, not too far from where I was working.
So it's basically they wanted to have no proof or evidence that there was retrieval and recovery and reverse engineered tech, and they wanted to destroy the source. It sounds like that's what this vice president came up with, this idea that we got to kill the source. We got to get rid of all the evidence so that it'll never come back. So is there any evidence? Is there anything that they do have that still could prove that this came from alien reverse?
Yes, what we do have is the parts that were manufactured from the alien aircrafts, inner circuits, anything that was electrical components to the craft are being used. However, the crafts itself were dismantled and destroyed, pretty much remelted and reused because the material is not found on here on the planet. What we were given on the briefing that the variety of materials were not from this universe, you would say. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's how much we were briefed on. As an engineer point, I wasn't really into, I wanted to know how much it worked, what could be worked with in means of the new drones that we are developing now. But however, yes, pretty much your lore of your sport model and other 9 crafts that you would say that were in the other hangars were completely destroyed in the mid-90s that we were briefed on.
So the drones that are being worked on now from the destroyed evidence and reverse engineered technology has nothing to do with the rotor blades. We're dealing with anti-gravity technology here?
Yes. This is a new form, though. The study using element 115, which we all know is uranium, which is high radiation. We use electromagnetic pulsion systems, which it works with the fields. It causes a distortion in our gravity, and it works against the gravity of the Earth, which produces. This device carries levitation. It generates electricity of its own. This causes an energy, which is light, which is pointed to a gyroscope. I don't know if you ever heard of that, which kind of works in a way. It produces electric static. It spreads signals of light, of energy, such as lightning is produced in the sky throughout the craft, and it powers that way. Element 115 is no longer in use because of the high amount of radiation. This is what causes, in our briefing, that they were telling us that that's why the differ of the aliens that were captured and held at S4 had difficulty living on this planet because of the high radiation that they had to cope with on their planet and the craft that they had to develop. Now, what our understanding was from the previous crafts, and that's why we had them destroyed, because they were so far beyond what we could replicate here on Earth that we would have to gather materials from their planet, which you probably already know. It's very difficult to work with these beings, as you probably know from other stories that other guys were whistleblowing.
Well, explain. Why is it difficult? Why would it be difficult? So you're privy to some of your, being on the site there. You have other people that work there as well. So you have friends that worked at the base that were telling you intel as well, or were you directly involved was some of the reasoning why they didn't want to be so cooperative.
Well, this operation was called Operation Overhead. We had 43 members all together working under this. We had different programs, pretty much the same programs that were carried over from S4. However, those programs are so slow in developing that it would be pointless to continue. So what we did was we managed to take the programs that were succeeding, like Project Galileo, and invert that into Operation Overhead. And what we did was we expand the ideas to that and used what the scientists already know and figured out, and used them for and experimental aircraft that we were testing for weapons as well. But like I would call these DCs, down crafts that we were using back in the early 90s, we pretty much just took them all apart and used whatever parts we can to use them into the new technology we have now, because, like I said, like before, that these objects were pointless in being used because there's no elements that match up with it on Earth. So we pretty much had them destroyed.
How would you go about destroying them? Did I miss that? What did they do? Melt them down?
Well, as Papoose Range site was being destroyed, the crafts were destroyed pretty much in the lake bed too. The pieces were gathered as much as they could get, and they just packed it on a truck and delivered to Land Pond. Whatever we could salvage, we used. The rest was stored into a nuclear site not too far from there where we keep nuclear waste, and sat there for security reasons. I don't know much of that, but what I do know is what I had to work on with those crafts, with the parts.
Wow. What was that like?
Well, it was very intimidating. Like, it was not an atmosphere you would like to be in. I did it because I was served to do it, just as anyone served to do jury duty. Well, in the engineering group, sometimes you get a contract swapped in your face with a high salary, and you say, well, let's go into exotic experiments, things that you would think that would improve your career. Now, I am not a UFO man, never I will be. I don't believe in some of the stuff that some of these people say, but what I see in my eyes was what I worked at the base, and that's what I know that I was briefed on.
So were you ever concerned about cross-contamination? You're dealing with something from a material from another planet. You're dealing with this craft. Was there any side effects?
Yes. We were briefed in the mid-'80s that everything had to be contaminated free. This was brought to our attention to the Energy Department, Mercury Town, whatever you want to call it, the other base next door. They pretty much desanitized all the equipment before it was sent to S4. This was to ensure the employees were cleansed from any bacterial infections from extraterrestrials or any uranium energies that were found for radiation poisoning. They pretty much made sure that was free from that. But Element 115 was a very delicate material which was kept in Mercury Town, where they blew the atomic site over there, just because of the reasons of the high radiation, as I was stating. This was a concerning problem to us in the early 90s because they had to figure a way out we could eliminate that problem and try to see if we could work with another technology that would be more efficient to what the aliens were using. And we've been using electromagnetic fields. However, it's still not a successful subject. We're still trying to figure out what we could do and expand on those ideas. But however, I am not saying or denying that there is crafts out there still using element 115, but we're trying to steer away from that.
Yeah, quite volatile and a dangerous element. Here's a question. Okay, so you're for the first time, your eyes lay upon this craft, not from this planet. Were you briefed? Well, how was the brief? How were you briefed? How were you vented to even come across this? And what did you feel like when you saw it for the first time with your own eyes?
Well, this was a very exciting experience for me. Not only getting to work on something that's top secret. However, as a person would think of things in the past as a story that were told of the surrounding base in Nevada on alien crafts and such like that, that kind of was in the back of my mind as well. However, I am a very scientific man. I have masters in science, engineering, aerospace, and avionics. But when I approached Lamb Pond Dry Lake Bed, it pretty much looked like a deserted land. It pretty much didn't have anything. However, compared to S4 and whatever the statements they had, a side mountain complex and hangars and such like that, at Lamb Pond there isn't anything like that. It's pretty much a camouflaged hangar-like door on the bed, and which would come up with the craft inside it. The entrance would be on the side of the mountain, but everything, there's 6 floors underneath that dry lake bed, and they conduct a variety of experiments from the propulsion engines to whatever else that I didn't have clearance to go to, but I was notified there's 5 more levels underneath mine.
Well, so you're on leave. You're not working there anymore. Or if you let's do some health reasons.
Yeah.
If you recover, would you ever be called back to work there again?
No. Once you're disqualified from the special program, that's it for you. You're not able to go back there anymore. It's just for security reasons. They just pretty much don't trust you. They don't even trust themselves. That's just how it is out there.
All right. Gotcha. That makes sense. What about this? What about the alien beings? Did they destroy them as well? There's a lot of stories about how J-Rod, one of the aliens, escaped back to his home planet via a Stargate. What about the bodies? Is there still evidence? Is there any aliens that are living now?
What I was debriefed on, and this is what I know, all the aliens that did exist in this area are pretty much deceased. There is no aliens right now that we have in captivity, but we do have experimental bodies that are kept frozen. That location is unknown. I do not know where that is, but I do know that it exists somewhere.
So they do have a body somewhere. And, yeah, they better. Just in case,
the so-called J-Rod, though, the so-called J-Rod does not exist, though. That was not a true story.
Gotcha. Hey, but, this is what I'm listening to right now, and I'm so amazed that I'm able to ask questions. It's amazing. If anybody has a question for this anonymous caller, by all means, flash chat it. Appreciate you joining us tonight. This is maybe it takes a little bit of guts. We're not going to reveal. I don't see your phone number, how you called in, so I think we're all good here. I know when we get this information. Hey, don't go yet. Man, if you got to go, you got to go. But man, we have more questions for you if you don't mind.
I will contact you. I will.
Please keep in touch. It's thank you for calling in. Thank you so much. And by any means, anytime.
And I'm very sorry about my jittery too. I'm very nervous. This is my first time talking about this. Like I said, I really don't want to disclose anything. I'm calling from an unknown location. I'm making sure of that. But I will contact you if I have any more information or more stories I could tell you. But that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you now and your public that are listening.
Wow. Oh, wow. There it is. Lots of courage from the public incredible information that I've never heard before. This is a whistleblower beyond comprehension. I've never heard this kind of information. A vice president orders the destruction of these flying discs. Wow. Stay tuned. Blake Cousins, Third Phase of Moon. Man, who knows what's coming up next? Third Phase of Moon. That was quite amazing. Third Phase Moon, we're back live, and man, that last caller, that's the information I like. And maybe there's people out there that could cross-reference this guy's story. He sounded legit to me. I believe in the people that call in that there's no agenda, there is no reason for them to come out with a story like this. They just want to get it out to the world. We hope that caller calls in one of these days or contacts me. I want to get more information because that was, in my opinion, straight from the source, and apparently there's a new location for the experimental craft known as Area 51, and he gave us that source. Quite amazing. Let's get to it. Let's bring in some callers here. They've been hanging on for a while. Let's bring them in. Thanks, everybody, for joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon.